Welcome back. The Football Association has said it fundamentally disagrees with the findings of an independent panel which concluded that the former Crawley manager John Yems is not a conscious racist. The FA, which appointed the panel, is now actively considering its legal options amid widespread outcry over the decision. The conclusion was reached despite the panel stating Yems' words were offensive, racist and Islamophobic. Let's speak to our senior reporter, Rob Dorset, on this story. Good evening to you, Rob. So could you first of all just clarify the FA's position?
Yeah, well, it's pretty much as you described there. The FA didn't want to release a statement on this. That independent panel, which it appointed to carry out this disciplinary procedure on John Yems, they don't like interfering with that, but they felt they had to on this occasion. And as you mentioned, they've told us in that statement that they fundamentally disagree with the findings of that independent panel, and particularly that bit where it said it didn't think John Yems is a conscious racist. It's clear that the FA bosses, even though they're not saying anything publicly, are very, very angry about this. It's also clear, I think you have to point out, that I think the FA has been stung by all of the criticism around this case. And even though technically that that criticism isn't directed at the FA, it's directed at the independent panel that they appointed. I think a lot of people within football are unhappy with how this has gone, how this has progressed. What the FA is particularly unhappy about is the fact that this independent panel was supposed to be looking at whether John Yems used discriminatory language. It wasn't supposed to be assessing whether John Yems himself is racist. And so the FA bosses, as I understand it, feel that the panel's gone beyond its scope in saying that they don't think Yems is a conscious racist. The FA charged Yems with 16 offences. They wanted a 2-year ban. The panel has come up with an 18-month ban from all involvement in football for John Yems. And I'm going to read to you now some of the comments that John Yems made. And we need to warn you that a lot of these comments are overtly racist and offensive. And so we apologise for those in advance. In fact, bear with me 1 second. I'm just going to turn my light off that's flashing at you. I do apologise about that. That's not good timing, is it? Especially when we've got such serious subject matter to talk about. So again, a warning that what I'm about to say could be deemed by an awful lot of people in football and in society generally as offensive. John Yems called Crawley's black players Zulu warriors. He described Muslim members of the squad as terrorists. He deliberately mispronounced the second half of Arnold Schwarzenegger's name. He used a racial stereotype to a black player of African origin, asking him if he liked jerk chicken. Again, apologies for anybody that is offended by this, but the list goes on. He told Muslim players, "Your people blow up stuff with vests." He said that an Iraqi youth international at the club would probably blow up the stadium, is what he said. He repeatedly made comments about another player carrying a bomb in his bag. He called one player a curry muncher. He made a remark to one player about how dark his skin is after he returned from representing Grenada. So a very long list, which this independent panel did say was overtly racist, offensive and Islamophobic. But the FA have an issue with the fact that the panel said they don't believe John Yems is consciously racist himself.
So what will the FA do next? And also, Rob, you've spoken to Yems himself. What did he tell you?
Well, that's a good question, what the FA do next. They are able to appeal against their own independent panel's decision, which they have done in the past. And I've been told, and they said in their statement, they are actively considering their legal options here. So that may well yet happen. I think we should point out that the 18-month ban from football that Yems has received is, as we believe it, the stiffest penalty ever handed out for discriminatory language used in football. So we wait to see what the FA does next. That panel that they appointed, by the way, was a diverse panel. It had former footballer Tony Agana on it, experienced lawyer Robert Engelhart KC, so a hugely renowned and experienced legal representative there, and the Wolves Club secretary Matt Wild. And Eunice Lunat pointed out to us on Sky Sports News earlier on, a former chair of equality and race within the FA board. He said that that's a hefty punishment, and it may be that if the FA do appeal against this, they won't receive a harsher punishment for John Yems. But I think, understandably, the FA doesn't like being associated with a process that's been criticised so harshly within anti-discrimination groups and within football generally as a decision that hasn't been tough enough against racism. That is not a position that the FA wants to be associated with.